Hey, what's going on, guys? So after I made my guide for getting consistent wins as the Necromancer, I had a bunch of people in my stream asking for one for the Puppeteer as well. And since a lot of people seem to still be struggling to get consistent wins as the demon role, I started grinding the Puppeteer to kind of figure out what the best strat was to increase your chances of winning and stop getting blown out every match. So have a seat, relax, and just let you know Daddy's got you. And also, I don't really know if we'll ever get to one of these for the Warlord. For now, we're just gonna pretend that Henrietta's useless ass doesn't exist, but Necromancer, Puppeteer, definitely top tier. So the big difference between the Puppeteer and the Necromancer is, as the Necromancer, you're just trying to overwhelm the survivors with lots and lots of enemies until you get a couple of them down, leaving the ones still standing unable to get their teammates back up because you're just overwhelming them with skeletons, and then eventually just finish them off with evil ash. However, with the Puppeteer, you're more playing the late game and focusing on possession to get a snowball rolling. While this is arguably the harder class to play, I promise you that the Puppeteer is so much more fun and rewarding. Since it takes a lot of time to level up to the point where you're going to actually be able to take down all 4 survivors, you're going to have to go in knowing that you won't likely be able to stop them until closer to the end of the match. Most of my games against solid, organized crews ended up going to the very end, which makes for some very exciting gameplay, which I actually have included here. One of my really crazy matches from stream the other night, I did a lot of yelling in these games trying to get ready for this video. So one more thing before we get into it, if you enjoy this video, please leave me a comment or a like, and if you want more Evil Dead and Dead by Daylight content, consider hitting me with a follow. It's free and it would mean the world to me. So this right here is my skill tree so far. I've kind of been just focusing on skills that increase my powers while I'm either possessing survivors, or I'll throw a few points into my demons, into like the Thunderstruck ability as well, just so I can get the skill tree far enough along to get the other perks that I want. But to be honest, I think that this will work with pretty much any build that focuses on possession, and either the elite or boss units, whatever their power, you can kind of go either way from here. So I just put a little bit into both. Early game with the Puppeteer is going to look pretty similar to early game as the Necromancer. I recommend just trapping everything as fast as possible, and if you're trapping chests, I would say put down the mini ashes too, because they give you a chance to steal the survivors' items, which can sometimes make the difference in the end game. As soon as you get 3 points, put them all into traps so that your traps will spawn elites. The idea here is that you'll keep the survivors busy and slow them down as much as possible so you can get your threat level as high as possible before the end game rolls around. This will also wear down their resources, forcing them to either go look for more, giving you more time, or leave them a little less prepared for the end game, along with giving you more demons to possess whenever you need a little extra pressure. After you have 3 points in traps, try to find the survivors. If you really cannot find them, then it won't hurt to trap up the areas around the dagger and the pages, especially the chests with the evil ashes. You know they're going to be looting in these areas eventually, so this will make it as difficult as possible, and they won't really get anything for their efforts. As soon as you find the survivor, use your blast to start leveling up their fear. This will give you more of your power and increase your threat level, allowing you to start possessing and harassing them right away. All these things will increase your threat level, giving you more points to level up as fast as you can. I'll usually put 1 point into my elite portal too at this point, so that if I do end up getting it down early, I can throw down a proximity portal to trap the body, trying to help force them to bleed out, or I can use this to spawn an elite to possess and create more pressure. Now, when I say I'm playing the late game, this is kind of what I mean. Basically, just keep trapping everything around the survivors, keep their fear level up, and keep possessing them so that you can farm points off of them. You really aren't trying to end the game yet, you just want those points. I would first max out your infernal energy, since it takes a lot of infernal energy to possess and hold on to survivors and demons, and you want as much time as possible to cause as much damage as possible. And at full stacks, the infernal energy will auto regenerate, which can be pretty useful. Next up, start pumping points into possession. We want to be as strong as possible while possessing survivors, causing as much chaos as we can along the way. And after you have both of these maxed out, start working on your boss. I typically don't put any points into my basic portals unless I have extra to spend. You can also use your boss throughout the match to create tons of extra pressure, but just pay attention to how far along their objectives are. You don't want to use your boss right before they finish the dagger. You get exercised, and now you have to wait for the cooldown before you can bring them back, and they're already already on top of the next objective. After my boss is maxed out, I'll just start strengthening my elite units, and if needed, my basic units. I just try to keep their fear high so you can keep possessing them, and pay attention to who you're possessing. Like, for example, if it's a hunter, try to use the ranged weapon. You know, if it's the warrior, try to use their melee weapon. You know what I'm saying. Once I get one or two of them down, I usually will switch to my boss and just try to end the game at that point. Typically, it takes the whole match for me to get the whole team down, and they're usually leveled up to around 20 by this point as well. But if you're fully leveled, you are going to be very difficult to deal with no matter what. Be sure to use your different powers as the elite demons and as the boss effectively, and you should start to see results immediately. It took a couple games for me to get a feel for this, but I wasn't getting blown out of the water anymore, and if the survivors did manage to beat me, it was right down to the wire, and I usually knew what went wrong. So you don't end up feeling helpless in the game with this strategy. And really, I mean, that's about it. If you want to come hang out, ask some questions, you can find me over on twitch.tv/PeteGunShow, or leave me a comment down below. So with all that said, stay happy, healthy, sexy, and safe, and I will see you next time.